Do you feel frustrated trying to grow your franchise? Are you having trouble balancing your consumer and franchise development marketing? Do you wish there was an easier way? Imagine if you had a proven roadmap to take your franchise's marketing from costing you to making you money. That's why we've created the Franchise Growth Blueprint. We walk you through the exact same process that we use to run franchise marketing campaigns for our clients at scale that has resulted in triple-digit growth. This blueprint isn't for anyone. It's not for people just starting a franchise. It's not for franchises without long-term goals. This is for franchises that want to scale up their marketing in a predictable and profitable way using a proven roadmap. If you want to sell more franchises, keep your current franchisees happy, and learn from people who have already done it, go to franchisegrowthblueprint.com and sign up today. That's franchisegrowthblueprint.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Franchise Marketing Podcast. Today, I'm very excited. I have Anne Huntington Sharma, who is president of Huntington Learning Center. Anne, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jordan. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. So for our listeners that don't know about you and your franchise, can you tell them a bit about it?
Sure. So Huntington Learning Center, we're the leading tutoring and test prep provider. We have about 300 locations across this country, and we were founded in 1977 with the mission to give every student the best education possible. And we have been fulfilling that mission for over 40 years. So it's a really fantastic organization and system to be part of.
Awesome. That is great to hear. So, how did you get started with Huntington?
So Huntington Learning Center was founded by Dr. Ray and Eileen Huntington in June of 1977. Ray was a statistician. He has his PhD in statistics, and Eileen was a tenured teacher. And they saw a need, they saw a gap, and they saw that they could fulfill that gap. So they started with one learning center, and over the past 40 plus years has expanded it to over 300 locations. In 1985, Huntington started franchising. And there's no surprise, my middle name is actually Huntington. So I sometimes say that I'm center number 17. So as a child, I was a student at Huntington. I was in a lot of the marketing campaigns. So we can talk real quintessential 90s campaigns if you'd like, Jordan. And then finished school and had a career outside of the family business for many years, and then had a serious conversation with Eileen and Ray. At work, I call them Eileen and Ray. Holidays, their mom and dad, of course. And we discussed, well, what's going to be happening with Huntington? At that moment, when we had that conversation, we were actually going through a rebranding. So this is fantastic for our topics today. And I came in first as a consultant. Then I went through our whole training program, went and visited many centers, started as a director and worked my way up over the past 8 or so years. And now I'm president of Huntington Learning Center.
That is amazing. So, you were really able to experience, the growth of the system, both from an insider perspective and almost an outsider perspective as well. I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts on that.
Sure. So, anyone who's part of Huntington, be it a co-founder or someone who just joined the team yesterday, we all bleed green. With Huntington, our color, our logo is green, and it's growth, and it's truly part of our whole entire DNA. So in terms of being an outsider, even as a child, the dinner conversations, there was always work involved. And after school, and when I had a career outside of the family firm, I was able to bring a lot of the skills I was learning from the art and philanthropy and nonprofit industries into Huntington. And in terms of building on the foundation of 40 plus years, having that perspective, that outsider perspective, really fuels innovation, fuels transformation, and fuels success. So it's a wonderful marriage of being an outsider and an insider, and making sure that we are not only building on that foundation, but we're staying true to our mission and our vision. Our vision is world-class student results and franchisee profitability.
Very cool. So, Anne, tell me more about that in terms of that innovation and transformation that you were able to ignite and bring to the table.
So, of course, when I joined full time 8 or so years ago, I was a bull in a china shop, and I actually wrote about that. I wanted to change everything overnight, and my colleagues can attest to that. And I realized that patience is key, really understanding systems, processes. We are a legacy company, which means we have infrastructures that are 40 plus years old. Well, they work. So we are in the mindset that if something's not broken, you have to make sure that what you're going to add on or replace has to be at the same level or better. So in terms of transformation and innovation, it takes time, and especially in franchising, there has to be a lot of adoption, a lot of testing, retesting, product controls, and all of that. So it does take time, innovation and transformation. That said, COVID came along in March of 2020, which was traumatic for the entire globe. But with that disruption, overnight, we had to roll up our sleeves and put all of our ideas, all of our innovation, all of our transformation, and put it into practice. And we did. And I think that that's that outsider insider that we were just talking about. Prior to Huntington, I would be building out shows, exhibitions. I was in the art industry, conceiving concepts and then making them happen basically overnight. Well, business is business. So when we had to literally transform our business model from brick and mortar, so beginning March 2020, we were solely brick and mortar. Fast forward 2 weeks into March 2020, and we offered a whole online platform. So that innovation and transformation was critical to our survival, and it was evolutionary for our company. And it's a testament to our vision, our integrity, our foundation, and most importantly, our team, our internal team, and our franchisees. Our Huntington community is so strong, and that's why we're able to innovate, transform, all while building on that foundation of 40 plus years.
Yeah, and I love how, you have a very well established, as you mentioned, legacy brand, but you're still able to act and bring on new and innovative ideas to the system, which I'm sure, your franchisees really appreciate.
Yes, and I think that's the mindset of, and I say this to folks, and last year I would say we're a 43-year-old startup. So now we're a 44-year-old startup. And so the integrity of our methodology, it works. I mean, Jordan, in 50 hours of tutoring, a student will go up over 2 grade levels, just 50 hours. So, we were discussing how we're working a lot every week. We're probably working more than 50 hours a week. Right? So in that amount of time, we're completely transforming a student's life. So think about transforming a company's life. Let's think about a human. So those results are tremendous. And then on our test prep side, our students will go up 5.4 on the ACT, 229 points on the SAT, which on average helps students get $71,000 worth of scholarship. So the integrity of the methodology works. So that is something we do not want to change. How it is instructed, of course. I'm not saying we're going to have AI and have different avatars come in. Absolutely not. Tutors are essential. We're seeing, of course, everyone is seeing the tremendous COVID learning slide, the one-on-one personalized in-person instruction is critical. That said, there is room for online as long as the integrity of the methodology, as long as there's efficacy within it. Because a lot of people can put up a website and say that they're great. But what about that background? With us, we're accredited by Middle States, Association of Colleges and Schools and Western Association of Schools and Colleges. Those are the accrediting bodies that accredit schools. So when families are looking for a provider, they want to go to the best, and we're the best. And so in terms of infrastructure, innovation, transformation, we are not going to disrupt the integrity of our secret sauce, but how we instruct it, of course, now we're online.
I love that, because you're really staying like genuinely true to your core value, to your, the like what you're providing the students that you're working with. I absolutely love that and adore that, Anne. So switching gears a little, this is a marketing podcast with franchises, and you did mention that when you initially came on board to Huntington, you came on as a consultant and you were doing a rebrand. I'd love to hear more about how that experience was.
We'll get right back to the show, but do you feel frustrated trying to grow your franchise? Are you having trouble balancing your consumer and franchise development marketing? Do you wish there was an easier way? Imagine if you had a roadmap to take your franchise's marketing from costing you to making you money. That's why we've created the Franchise Growth Blueprint. To find out more, visit franchisegrowthblueprint.com. That's franchisegrowthblueprint.com. Now back to today's episode.
The experience was absolutely fantastic. The experience made me realize I couldn't just be a consultant. I had to go deep into the deep end and learn all the systems and processes and really help move the company forward with the best team, a very fantastic team. And also it's extremely rewarding working with family, though challenging at times, though very rewarding. So that experience was phenomenal because we were updating our look, we were updating our website, and of course the website always needs to be updated. Updated our communication, our brand look, the different personas. So through the different channels, marketing channels, we were updating our entire brand strategy and brand look. Though that seems like it's almost a decade ago. So throughout that time, of course, we've updated it a lot, and a lot of new technologies have come out in that past 10 or so years, 8 years, really.
Mhm. Yeah. So this is it's a huge no joke rebrand that you went through, right? It's everything from A to Z. I'd love to learn and dive a little deeper into this. As a franchise system, you have a lot of stakeholders. So how did you manage this rebranding process, with potentially like hundreds of voices, putting in their opinion?
Very good question. And it's not just that rebrand, it's any rebrand. I mean, COVID, we have produced 3 television spots in the past 10 or so months, all while remote. So the critical component to franchising, and anyone who's listening, who's potentially looking for a franchise or on the franchisee side or franchisor side, you want to really make sure that there are systems and processes in place. And there are different forums for communication. Jordan, as you said, you might have 100 plus chirping voices in your ear. So how do you differentiate the noise from that nugget of idea? All ideas could be good. It's just a question of timing and how they're presented. So the key is to have those forums for communication. At Huntington, we have an advertising fund board, which is comprised of 5 franchisees and 5 franchisor members. I'm a member of the advertising fund board. The franchisees are voted in through their constituents. Now let's step back a little bit further in terms of franchising. Within franchising, the franchisee pays royalty, they may pay some other fees, and they may pay a percentage to an advertising fund. Within Huntington, 2% of that, 2% of their revenue goes into the advertising fund. So with that dollars, we then allocate marketing projects that will benefit the entire system. So that's how we decide different campaigns, where the dollars go. Of course, with COVID, the advertising fund board, we were meeting at least once a week, going through, okay, what do we have to do here? How do we do this? Where do we have to reallocate dollars to make sure that we are helping our customers and all that. So in terms of making sure that all voices are heard and how things happen in a constructive manner, you need to have those forums. We have other councils as well. We have a franchise advisory council, a tutoring council, et cetera, et cetera. But really, in terms of making sure a campaign is well received, it has to be tested. But before being tested, you have to decide, are you going to do this internally with your team? Are you going to have an RFP, some type of proposal, and have a third party come in and present? If you are, of course, you need to vet multiple agencies to see who's the right fit. They might have the flashy PowerPoint and they might have really great videos, but maybe their mission or their core values don't align with who you are. So you have to really think about it more than just the superficial level of saying, oh, wow, we're working with X, Y, and Z. You need to make sure that the person makes sense for who you are, who your DNA is. Then from there, there's a schedule, there's a step process. There's, of course, discovery. Who are you? It's almost as if you're in a therapy session. You have to figure out, your point of view and what is the driving force for your consumer? What's the ROI? Just because it looks pretty, is it really working? So you have to test and retest. So you have to survey. You might need to do A/B type testing. Of course, going back to what you said, Jordan, in the voices and listening to folks, you need to have different types of forums to have those conversations. So you may do it as simply as some sort of a survey, like a Survey Monkey, and have the community, whoever the stakeholders are, answer those questions. You may want to have different focus groups that are internal focus group, those who are franchisees or members of the team, but also your consumer, of course. So you might want to bring in former, current clients, maybe clients who decided not to enroll in whatever your concept is, and really dig down and say, well, why didn't you enroll? So you want to really look at it from a holistic perspective. And the key to success in any campaign is really making sure that there's a focus, there's a purpose, there's a deliverable, and then it's delivered upon in a timely manner.
I love this like systematic and scientific approach that you're taking to marketing. So, and I'd love to learn a bit more about like what campaigns, what channels have really moved the needle for you and your franchise.
So remember, we are a legacy company. So when we started it was basically the stone and chisel. I'm just kidding. Back in the 70s, and so back in the 70s, it was newspapers and traditional types of mode. And a lot of companies may say, okay, you have to do everything digital, everything digital. We see a lot of success with direct mail. We see a lot of success with billboards, with television. That said, it's surround sound. And this is where it's not as scientific. It's a little more of the liberal arts, where you need to have the different touch points, because a referral source might come in as internet, but really they got a direct mail that maybe they threw out because they don't want the clutter. But then they just got into, forgive me for saying this, a fight with their child because they didn't do their remote homework, and they see that they're slipping. And there's already frustration, of course, in this COVID climate. But now there's more of a microscope on students. So it might not have been internet. It could have been direct mail. Or maybe the mom gets her nails done at a nail salon that is right next to a Huntington Learning Center. So on an unconscious level, she's been driving by it. So you need signage, right? You need signage at your location. You need direct mail. You need billboard potentially, television if the pricing makes sense. But those are more the traditional. And then really the key is to make sure that there is that internet presence, and that there is SEO, that there is search engine marketing, that there is a really good way to capture the leads and make sure that the parents, when they are Googling, how do I help my child, or whatever the franchise concept is, that your name comes up. that Huntington is there. And not just there from a paid ad, because there are a lot of competition. Mom is smart. Usually it's mom, that's our demo. But the person who's the inquirer, the person who's inquiring, the customer is smart. So they're going to dig a little deeper. So you have to be able to back yourself up. We have 44 years of experience of tremendous results, changing lives every day. There's no question you go to Huntington. But we need to make sure mom and everyone knows, and potential franchisees know, that if you're looking at a franchise, you join Huntington.
I love that. And you know what? This brings up a line of thought in, and you kind of alluded to this, is that, when parents are looking for some type of service, in this case, tutoring, it's not necessarily a logical decision. It's a very emotionally invested decision, right? Because this is, your baby, right? And your baby's future. So I'm curious, how do you translate this like very deep emotion into your marketing messaging?
We care. First off, we get results, which obviously is not emotional. But if a mom sees, or a dad, or a grandparent, or whomever the caregiver is, and for the older students, the test prep, it might be the actual student who's looking. So we do get results. The key is that we can help. We're here. We want to listen. We understand that every single student is different, which is why our entire methodology works. It's not a cookie cutter Band-Aid approach. We start with an academic evaluation, which pinpoints exactly where the student is functioning. Then we present the findings to the parents, the guardians, and we show exactly where their child is and how we're going to get that child up to grade level, if that's the goal, or above. It might be an enrichment student, or it might be a student who wants to make their reach school really a safety school, which we do all the time, which is amazing. So I think that in order to really get to the heart of the problem, you have to present what the offering is, but also show that we care. Our teachers are certified. They are not high school students. They are certified teachers through Huntington or through state certification. And there's a level of professionalism, and there's a level of guidance. We have ethics. We have a code that we go through, a commitment to the families, trust, respect. And we really show that empathy from the moment an individual calls 1-800-CAN-LEARN. We inform the family that they've called the right place and that we can help.
Very cool. I love it. So, and one question I always love asking is, what advice would you give someone just starting out as a franchisor?
Just starting out as a franchisor, I say the first thing I would say is congratulations. In terms of advice, I would recommend getting involved with organizations such as the International Franchise Association, whose convention is actually right around the corner. It's the kickoff is with pre-convention, actually, is today and tomorrow. I would say get involved with the International Franchise Association. Crawl before you walk. Really understand what your budget is, what your goal is. Ensure that you have proof of concept. It's very easy to have a business plan, but you need to show proof of concept, especially in franchising. And you need to make sure that you have manuals, systems, procedures. And now, especially with the International Franchise Association, forums such as LinkedIn, which is how we got connected, reach out to folks who are your idols or who you really respect, and see if they'll take 15 minutes to talk to you. So build up that team around you, informally and formally, to set yourself up for success. And realize that if you do fall down, we all fall down. All of us fall, and sometimes we fall harder than others. But you know what? Then you get back up and you realize you're going to learn from that mistake, and you're going to keep on trying, and you're going to make your vision a reality.
I love that advice. And it's very, like, I hear this time and time again, and I think I've said this before, but it's one of the reasons why I've fallen in love with working with franchises, is just because of how open everyone is to each other in the community. Like it actually really surprised me when I first got involved. So great advice.
Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah, of course. So, Anne, we are coming up near the end of the episode. And as you know, I like to end all of them with what I call the lightning round. So it's just a few fast-paced questions. I promise no hardballs. Are you ready?
Bring it on.
Awesome. So first question, Anne, what is your favorite tool or app that you cannot live without?
Favorite tool or app? Oh gosh. Oh goodness. I guess it would be email, right?
Yeah, totally. Can't live without email there. Next question is, what is your favorite book?
Favorite book? Ooh. Oh gosh. I like David and Goliath. Have you ever read that about the underdog?
I mean, I know the story. I haven't read the book though.
Okay.
All right. Next question is, who is a franchise leader that you look up to?
My mom, Anne Huntington.
Awesome. Great choice. So, Anne, last question, I promise. Where can people find out more about you and your franchise?
Excellent question. Well, if you're interested in helping your students, it's huntingtonhelps.com. If you're interested in a franchise opportunity, it's huntingtonfranchise.com. And you can follow us on social media at Huntington Helps. I am Anne Huntington Sharma. My handles are Anne Huntington, which is my maiden name. But we look forward to hearing from you. If in doubt, just call 1-800-CAN-LEARN, and we'll make sure that we can take care of you.
Awesome. And thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. You are absolutely amazing. You've shared a ton of knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jordan. Have a good day.
You as well.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Franchise Marketing Podcast. If you found this episode useful, share it with a friend and subscribe now so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And until then, happy marketing.